almost 359 days since Elia Viviani last took a stage victory. That was on the 6th and final stage of the CRO race. That was last year. Today, he's got another opportunity. Having won stage 1 yesterday, he's got an opportunity from Bayangrad Namoru as we head towards Navalia. 114.5 kilometers of racing as we take a look at this old town in Bayangrad Namoru, which hosts the start of the stage. The riders just getting themselves lined up, waiting and ready, and expect these two teams to be very active and the big protagonists at the start of the stage. There is Elia Viviani as he's greeted by the young children too. Viviani, the leader in the general classification. There is Team DSM Firmenich, who will be looking to try and improve on yesterday's second place with Tobias Andreasen. Also Uno X with Alexander Kristoff. The local dignitaries at the race start, ready to cut the white tape and to officially welcome the stage of the CRO race to Bayangrad Namoru for 2023. He's looking nice and relaxed. I'm sure everyone would be after waiting 359 days, and as a sprinter, a long time to wait for a stage victory. They roll out of our start town. It's 2:15 local time. They've got 5 kilometers of neutral. There we see our leader in the best young riders classification in the white jersey. That's Tobias Lund Andersen, the Danish rider from Team DSM Firmenich. The King of the Mountains jersey, that green jersey, is on the shoulders of Michael Schuren of ATT Investments. Meanwhile, it's Alexander Kristoff who's borrowing the blue jersey. That's the leader of the points jersey, off the shoulders of Elia Viviani. 2:26 local time, the race flag is waved by the race director. The car pulls away and immediately there's attacks from the front and the head of the peloton. It's ATT Investments in that red and blue faded jersey who are trying to get themselves involved. Also Maloya push bikers. They missed the breakaway yesterday. They'll be looking to try and make amends today. Also Cajarural Seguros with 2 riders, as are Ljubljana Gusto Santic in the gold and black. It's all come back together as we see the Roman Forum and the Church of St. Donatus. This is in Zadar, in that city. We had a stage finish there last year, if you remember. It was a photo finish coming through to the intermediate sprint, and it's almost like a photo finish for the intermediate sprint points. It was close on the line. Christian Koren is one of the 4 riders who is in this breakaway. He's the former Slovenian national road race champion. Here we see the results. It's Kaspar who takes the 5, Koren with the 3, Ante Skok in that gold and black jersey of Ljubljana Gusto Santic, who picks up the 1 remaining point, and of course 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds. Is Jan Kaspar, the rider from Czechia, racing for that continental team from Czechia. We've got 4 extremely strong riders, and this man, Christian Koren, is one of the most experienced within the 4 riders. He's 36 years old. He's raced at the top level of the sport. He's raced in the World Tour. He's raced in 10 Grand Tours during his professional career, 24 Classics. He's got so much knowledge and a wealth of experience under his belt. Now we start the 3rd category climb up to Jovichti. This is the first King of the Mountain of the day. It's a 3rd categorized climb. It's 7.5 kilometers long with an average gradient of a very modest 2%. The maximum gradient along the way is 6.2, but Luke Rowe and the Ineos Grenadiers have got things well under control. 1 minute and 50 seconds. Luke Rowe has been very much the way his career has been. He's been on the front 4. He's big leaders within the Ineos Grenadiers and what, of course, formerly Team Sky. He's one of the best. There we take another look at Mati Mohoric, the defending champion in the general classification. He's not really gone his way. He sits currently 79th at 1 minute and 18 seconds, having crashed yesterday, lost a lot of time. He lost 48 seconds, and then of course with the 10-second time bonus for the stage winner, Elia Viviani, he was then handed a penalty for drafting behind the team card to try and come back to the front of the race. He was given a 20-second time penalty, putting him so far down, and it's going to be difficult for Mati Mohoric on a course over the next 5 days to try and bring back any of the time and the deficit that he's lost. Perhaps barring victorious will start to re-evaluate where will they want to go with their goals and ambitions for the CRO race. Will they just go and fight for the stages? They've certainly got the opportunity to do so. I'm sure yesterday after the stage finish with Golash, the sports director of Bahrain Victorious, and the 7 riders within the team, they would have had lots of discussions as to what do they want to try and now achieve. Is the general classification out of reach? Is it still very much possible when you take a look at the Queen stage on Friday? Christian Coren driving on the front in the breakaway quartet. 1 minute and 43 seconds, and the 4 out front have never really been given too much daylight. They've not been given too much rope. The maximum time gap that they have had is 2 minutes and 5 seconds, unlike yesterday where we saw the time gap to the breakaway go to over 4 minutes. They've realised that due to the weather conditions, and now we've made that left-hand turn and we're heading north towards the island of Pag, the wind conditions very much onto the right-hand shoulder of the riders, and there is a potential for crosswinds. And now if there's any team, any rider that knows how to control and how to ride in the crosswinds, it's this man here on the left-hand side, Luke Rowe, who is really a mastermind in terms of those early season spring classics. There's Mati Mohoric. He'll have to try and re-evaluate what he wants to get from this race. One thing's for certain, before he gets to the general classification and fighting for the general classification, they've got a big opportunity with Nicolo Baratti and Mateusz Govacar. On the left-hand side, it's Andrzej Skok. He just misses a bottle. It's certainly not the ideal scenario, because as he takes another one, there we go, success. It's very warm out there. The weather conditions around 25 degrees. Wind is around 18-19 kilometers per hour with gusts of upwards of 31-35 kilometers per hour. But it's important, especially with the humidity, that you keep the hydration. There is Christian Coren on the right-hand side. He is one of the most experienced riders within this group, and especially now that the wind starts to blow, he can guide the riders within this breakaway of where they need to be in terms of positioning because of that wind and the direction of the wind. It's a northeasterly wind coming onto the right-hand shoulder. We'll crest the top of this King of the Mountain very soon, and they can just almost see the line up ahead. There we go, you can see where the King of the Mountain is, and now is Jan Kaspar, the Czech rider, starts to open things up, and he's immediately tracked by Marvin Hammerschmidt in the lime green. This is going to be close for the King of the Mountain sprints. It's going to be a lunge for the line. Oh, that was close. Hammerschmidt almost seems as though he's got it, the Austrian rider, but that took a lot out of the tank. 3 points on offer at the top of that King of the Mountain, as now it's started to put Jan Kaspar into a little bit of difficulty. And now the question is, will these two riders wait for the duo behind, for Andrzej Skok and Christian Coren? Because let's have another little look at this one. Jan Kaspar on the left in the red and faded blue. On the right-hand side, it's the lime green and faded blue of Marvin Hammerschmidt. they almost come together. Well, it was Hammerschmidt, just by half a wheel length, who took the 3 points at the top of that King of the Mountain. Luke Plapp continues on the front. Here at the back you can see Jiří Petruš. He had a good finish yesterday, a top 10 for the 27-year-old Czech rider. It was impressive. There's the South African road race champion. That's Travis Steadman. He rides for the Q36.5 Continental team. However, he's riding up within the Pro Tour squad. He's gaining so much. There he is, number 82, with the South African road race champions colours around his chest. The gap being well controlled by the Ineos Grenadiers and Luke Rowe. 138, between 138 and 130 is the deficit for the peloton, and this is very much a textbook sprint stage. Keep the breakaway under control, don't give them too much time. Ride it to perfection. They'll take on, as they take on a few risers, they'll take on the descent very shortly. That'll take them towards Pag. So we see the results, Hammerschmidt taking the 3, it was Kaspar taking the 2, Gordon taking the sole remaining point in the King of the Mountain points. It doesn't do anything to the lead of Miguel Schuren. Schuren still remains the leader in that classification by, well, he came into the day with 12 points. His nearest challenger was Simone Bevilacqua on 11. Inside 50 kilometres to go, the advantage at 1 minute and 20 seconds as they go across the bridge that connects the mainland to the island of Pag. And just hear the wind blow. Angie Skoik is really having a hard time in this wind. There's very little protection, as you can see, it's almost moon-like because of the weather conditions and just how harsh it is year-round. The wind doesn't allow anything to grow. It doesn't allow any vegetation, trees. There's no protection on the road, and very often this bridge is closed due to the high winds. There's still an opportunity. Because of the direction of the wind and the way it's blowing, there is still an opportunity if one team wants to try and take it up at the front. They could put it into the gutter and try and split things and cause all sorts of damage and try and form the echelons in the crosswinds. It's whether teams are confident enough or whether they want it to come down to a bunch sprint for their fast men within their squads. Onto the island of Pag. 1 minute and 15 with 48.3 kilometres remaining, and now we start to see a little change in terms of the shape of the peloton, because whilst we've still got the 4 riders out front, there's many teams who want to try and get themselves up towards the front just to be ready for any potential damage that's done up towards the front. Lidl Trek being one of those teams, as these 4 out front still have good cooperation. They've still got the good cohesion in this breakaway. Christian Gordon making sure that they all roll through nicely, the former Slovenian road race champion. Uno X Pro Cycling with the Norwegian road race champion Fredrik Dversnes. He's on the front, you can see him there with the Norwegian flag on the chest of his jersey. There in the blue jersey, they're looking after Alexander Kristoff, Moving up is Quinn Simmons for Lidl Trek. You can just see him in the Stars and Stripes as the National Road Race Champion of the USA. They make the way across the island and across the coast. It's so exposed and open. For the Ineos Grenadiers, they've always been in that perfect position all day. They've always been on the left-hand side of the road just to take as much protection as possible from the other teams, and it doesn't really leave the door wide open. 1 minute and 9 seconds, it equates to 800 metres, and Marvin Hammerschmidt, you can start to see the pain that's etched across his face. It's the former Slovenian road race champion, Christian Koren, who drives things at the front, and he is one of the most experienced, he is one of the strongest. He's got so many years in the pro peloton in the legs. He doesn't show any signs, and you can see his smooth pedaling style. Inside 30 kilometers to go. 50 seconds is the advantage for this trio, and they've lost Ance Skok, the Slovenian rider from Ljubljana Grsto Santic. 4 riders, and you see there, it's Marvin Hammerschmidt, the Austrian rider, who shakes the head and says to Christian Koren that he can't contribute to the pace. This has been a difficult day out in the breakaway. It's been a day in which not only the road, but the weather conditions have had a real big part to play. 47 seconds, it's Lidl Trek who are on the front. We're heading towards the next intermediate sprint of the day. A few hundred meters to get there, and Christian Koren is looking for some time bonuses. There's 3 seconds on offer, but there's also 5 points in the points classification. They go across the bridge that connects the islands together. In the wheel, it's Marvin Hammerschmidt in the lime green. Just on the back, it's Jan Kaspar. They've got a roaring tailwind here, and Christian Koren goes through the intermediate sprint. He's not challenged, and Christian Koren takes the 5 points and the 3 bonus seconds. It's Marvin Hammerschmidt who takes the 3 and the 2 bonus seconds, with Jan Kaspar, the rider from Czechia, and ATT Investments, who takes the 1 remaining point and the sole bonus second. From the intermediate sprint impact and directly onto the second and final King of the Mountain of the day. It's a second categorized climb. There we see the results of the intermediate sprint. Koren taking 5, Hammerschmidt with 3, Kaspar with 1. There's nothing left for the peloton to pick up, but they're too heading for the next King of the Mountain of the day. It's 2.5 kilometers long, a second category climb. It's a nice average gradient, 5.5%. However, it doesn't really tell the full story, because on this climb is the peloton now onto the base of this King of the Mountain. Maximum gradients here of 14.4%. If they want to, there's certain teams and certain riders who could really do some damage. They could really try and split things up and make sure that some of the sprinters are put into great difficulty. Inside 25 kilometers remaining. Marvin Hammerschmidt is caught by the peloton, and that leaves Jan Kaspar and Koren Christian left out front. Christian Koren, who's been the real driving force within this breakaway, is sitting on the wheel of Kaspar, and it's looking as though the peloton are going to take the maximum points on this King of the Mountain. But what has Kaspar got left in the legs? Has he got anything left? He's only a few hundred meters from cresting the top of this category climb, and he makes an acceleration. He's going to try and deny the peloton from taking the 6 points at the top of this King of the Mountain. He really wants to try and take something away from being in the breakaway. He doesn't want to go away empty-handed. Jan Kaspar goes across the line. He takes the maximum points of the day. It's 6 points on this second category climb up to Pag. And now the points behind for this King of the Mountain will be fought for by the peloton. Kaspar not intent in being caught. He still continues to pursue up front as he takes a look around, and he's able, with that acceleration, to try and open up the gap. They take on this descent. This will take them all the way into 17 kilometers to go. And then there's that uncategorized climb on the course. On the profile, it doesn't show too much, but they've got around 2 kilometers of climbing, which, again, it's that last little launch pad into the final 15 kilometers that can do some damage. Kaspar tries to get himself as aerodynamic as possible, as do the rest of the riders within this peloton, as there we see Matteo Badilatti, the Swiss rider, from Q36.5.
Control.
22 kilometers remaining on stage 2 of the CRO race, and we're heading for our finish line, and that's at Navalia. There we see the results. Kaspar taking the 6, Connor Swift taking the 4, and it's Jonas Gregard who takes the 2 points for Uno X. Uno X take it up at the front. There is Christoph in the blue jersey, borrowing that jersey off the shoulders of Elia Viviani. 5.5 kilometers to go, and we're onto the circuit. They'll cross the finish line for the first time with 4.5 kilometers remaining, and now they get a look at what will be the Flamme Rouge in 4 kilometers time. Uno X Pro Cycling, they take control at the front. There is Magnus Sheffield with Ethan Hayter on the wheel. Where is Elia Viviani? Luis Aular is there for Caja Rural Seguros RGA. Magnus Sheffield on the front, and now they get a little look at what they'll be experiencing. There's points on offer at this intermediate sprint into Navalia, and Uno X Pro Cycling want the points, they want the bonus seconds, but as does Ethan Hayter. Here comes Fran Miholjevic, Roger Adria also with a little acceleration, as now Gregard starts to open up, and he wants to try and take the bonus seconds for the overall general classification. It's going to be tight on the line. It's a little throw to the air for Ethan Hayter. Not happy with something there at the intermediate sprint, but the remaining riders here in the peloton, they hear the bell. It's 4.1 kilometers remaining, and this is going to be a thrilling finale to stage 2. They go into this funnel, take on the right-hand turn, and this is where several teams and riders want to try and cause some damage. Ethan Hayter with a little acceleration, but realizes that his sprinter, Elia Viviani, isn't there. As we see the results of the intermediate sprint, it's Gregard who takes the 5, Adria with the 3, with Ethan Hayter taking the 1. Now the attention turns with 1.3 kilometers until we get to Navalia, to that finish line. Q36.5 take it up at the front. They're looking after the hopes of Parasini. Parasini yesterday, who finished in the top 10, as now under the Flamme Rouge, it's the Ineos Grenadiers who take things up. Ethan Hayter on the front, and there is the rider Fran Miholjevic and also Mati Mohoric. They've got Barati on the wheel, and Govakar is there. Here comes Yuri Letau, and Alexander Christoph has got a brilliant and perfect lead out on the right-hand side of the screen. They're coming in, and it's 500 meters to go. Where is Campbell Stewart? He's got himself blocked on the right-hand side of the barriers. Team DSM Firmenich take it up. They've got Tobias Andreasen on the wheel, and here comes the white jersey. Yesterday it was second. Can the Dane try and deliver a victory? Here starts to open up Bahrain Victorious, but here comes Letau, and Christoph lets it go. He opens the door, and the Portuguese rider from Caja Rural is taking advantage. Yuri Letau is going to the line, and he's trying to take the victory. Elia Viviani coming up late, but it's going to be all but too late, and Yuri Letau wins into Navalia. Caja Rural Seguros, they take the victory. Yuri Leitão takes his third professional victory of his career, and what a month it has been for the Portuguese rider. First a World Tour victory, next a world title. Quite the performance from Yuri Leitão. Yuri Leitão wins ahead of Elia Viviani, Alexander Kristoff, Tim Teutenberg and Giovanni Lenardi up there again for a YOLO commenter. But this man, Yuri Leitão, what a performance from the Portuguese. Well, we thought it might have been the one for Luis Aular, but they timed it to perfection. There's the provisional results of the stage. Yuri Leitão taking it ahead of Elia Viviani, Alexander Kristoff, Tim Teutenberg, as we take a look at the general classification. It's Elia Viviani who continues to lead, 6 seconds ahead of Yuri Leitão, 8 seconds to Kristoff, with Andreasen at 10 seconds. Stage 2, it was utter dominance from Yuri Leitão.